Hey, this is Billy Childs from Brittany Fox, and you're listening to the Cosmick Voice.
It's one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
This is the Cosmick Voice. Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Cosmick Voice. This is Season 8, Episode 6. I am here with my co-host, Chris Natalini.
Hello, everybody.
And I am Mick Michaels. Welcome back to another show. Chris, how are you, sir?
What's going on, Mick? I am doing awesome. Things are happening. Yeah, you know, it's a little chilly. It's getting chillier on our side of the space station. Things are good. How about you, man?
Doing well, staying busy.
Good.
Though the Farmer's Almanac does say we're going to have a brutal winter, which I'm not excited about. But we haven't had one in a couple years. But they're saying cold and snow, and I hope they're wrong. I really do.
I don't necessarily put a lot of faith in that kind of stuff. Like, I have this conversation with my mom every year. So, it's going to be a cold winter. I say, Mom, they say that every year. Like, it's winter. It's going to be cold. That's what it is. I mean, can they really predict something that far? I mean, I guess you could kind of, I don't know, because there have been many times where they go, it's going to rain this day, on, Monday, and then it's sunny and 70. Like, I don't know how you can predict something that's months and months away, especially for something that's constantly changed. I guess they could kind of figure out how it could be, but listen, we've said it a million times. Weather people are the only people that could do their job and get it wrong every day and still not get fired.
That's true. That is true. Well, listen, I mean, I get the cold. I'm not a fan of the cold, but, we're in Philadelphia Space Station, so it gets cold. And that I can deal with. I can't deal with, like, snow on top of snow.
No.
I'm done with snow.
Yeah, I can't do snow.
I don't want to do snow anymore.
No,
I
can't do snow.
So when they start saying, like, we're going to be hit with the blizzards, I'm not really excited about that. That just kind of disrupts my life in a way that I'm not like I go running out for bread and milk and eggs, and I just don't. I figure, I got oatmeal and my tap water still works, so that's good enough for me, but I just don't want to deal with the shoveling and then there's other issues, just the heavy snow and roof collapsing and trees coming down and, that kind of stuff.
I always say, if it's going to snow, like, keep me in. And then that's it. One blizzard, done. Or my favorite kind of snows, when it snows and the next day it's gone.
Yeah,
the ground's too warm, or
just a little blanket, just a little blanket,
just a blanket, right? Just a little coating, and then it's gone the next day. And I go, okay, like, I could do that snow, like, I'm all right with that. But yeah, I'm not a big snow guy at all. I hate it. It's just dirty. Like, when it first happens, it's awesome. After that, it's dirty. You're shoveling. Everything's just wet. It's just annoying.
Yeah, I don't like the cold, but I'll take the cold and no snow, if that's the trade-off.
Yes.
I got my Han Solo Hoth jacket. It works for me.
I will take cold with sunlight. I'm good with that.
Yeah. I'm, like, heavily into layers now. Like, I went back to, like, the 70s for me, like, when I used to wear the long johns and things like that. Like, now, maybe it's an older guy thing or something. I just, what I mean?
It's definitely an older guy. No,
5-6 shirts. An older guy thing. Yeah. I got long johns on, like I'm living in the log cabin. All my socks are wool now, like, all year long. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. So.
You got the coat with the fur around the hood.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Like, scarf. It's like, my mother taught me well. Like, there was a time where it's like, I'm not wearing that stuff. I'd be on the bus stop in just a real cool concert shirt, freezing my off. You know what I mean? But now it's like, you know what? She was right. Let's just wrap up here.
Just wrap. That's right. Just
barely
wrap up.
See my eyes. That kind of thing. Like the jacket's so big I can't turn left or right in the car because I can't see anything. The collar's so big. You know what I mean?
100%, dude. That's 100%, man. I love it. Love it.
I think I've said it before. I'd rather be warm than comfortable at that point. It just
Yeah,
doesn't, you know.
If
You know, I
fall
know
over, you
it's
can't
better
get
to
up.
look good than to feel good. Nah, let me tell you something. I don't want to be cold.
Trust me, I look good under all this stuff.
Yeah. It takes me an hour to get ready to go out. Once I'm at my location, it takes me an hour just to get out of it. It's like a spacesuit. You know, but it's working.
Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, or you bundle up to go to the mall, the Christmas shop, and then you just before you go to the mall, you're like, I can't wear all this stuff in the mall. So you take it all off in the car and you leave a little something on. You're running to the mall just to get inside because it's so cold.
I know, because they'll have the malls cranked up. The heat will be so
yeah,
cranky,
it'll be a
like
million
you're like so dry, and it's just craziness, man. Craziness, brother.
We're showing our age because we're talking about malls. Malls anymore.
For metalheads in the 80s, they were the staples. Friday and Saturday, baby. Friday and Saturday.
Man. How many times have we hung out at King of Prussia on Friday nights? And, I tell my wife this all the time. I say, we used to go to the mall Friday nights, right? All of us. And we used to go to the food court. We'd have food, whether it be Burger King or whatever at the time, or pizza. Do you remember Classy Kites? Do you remember that little corner? We'd go there and look for buttons.
Yep.
For our denim jackets or our leather, and then we would walk over to, I believe would have been Listening Booth or Sam Goody, right?
Yeah.
And no, wait, Sam Goody was upstaiz. Listening Booth was downstairs.
Right.
And then we would shop for vinyl, all on $20-$25.
I know.
We'd all wear our favorite concert T-shirts. And, if you were in a band, you wore your own band shirt. Man, I remember those days like it was yesterday.
It was a ritual. It was a ritual.
It was, dude. It was. It truly was.
People flocked. There was no need for a phone call or anything like that. I mean, we didn't have cell phones. You just knew this is where people were. So if you were going to find somebody, you just showed up.
It's true, man. It's true. And I remember those days fondly. If it was a concert tickets were going on sale Saturday morning, we just slept in the parking lot, be able to get your number and leave and come back by 4 in the morning and get your spot. I remember those days fondly, man. Fondly.
It was cool.
Great times. All on $25.
Yeah. Well, for me, sometimes it was less than that. I was surprised what. But you could do it. But you could do it.
Yeah, you could.
It was crazy.
You could.
And there was always a couple bucks left to hit the arcade for the guys.
Right.
Know what I mean?
Right. That's right.
Amazing how things played out. Really, it's amazing.
Yeah. Yep.
Now it's completely different. You can't do nothing with $25. I can't seem to get out of the house and drive around without a minimum. I'm spending $100 and I haven't done anything yet.
It's true, man.
Between gas and tolls and you name this and that and the other things. So I try not to leave the house. It's a $200 day every time I walk out of my door. It's like, nah, this is what
it's insane, man. It is. It's crazy. It is a crazy time to be alive.
It's Russ the Boss.
Take it down.
Johnny D from Brittany Fox.
This is Stephen Pearcy from Rat, the Rat Bastard. You're listening to the Cosmick Voice.
What's going on in the music world? For you, for the world? What do you see going on?
Man, as of the time of recording this, I saw the list for the Grammys that came out. I believe it was yesterday. It's funny because we're going to talk about this in today's episode, being the old guy. I'm looking at the Grammy nominations and I'm like, I recognize a few names, but it's a lot of the same pop, rap, if you want to call it, hip hop. I don't know. It's all in the same. I think the only thing that I kind of was like, oh, okay, like there were a few people in the Grammys that were nominated now, to be honest, I did not see the hard rock or whatever the category is for our kind of music, but I recognize some names that were nominated. But a lot of these artists are, whether they're auto-tuned or whether they don't write all their own stuff. The one name that didn't surprise me was obviously Sabrina Carpenter, because she's pretty much taken over the world right now. She's the next generation Taylor Swift. She wasn't nominated, but she'll probably be nominated next year because her album just came out, I am assuming, because I was a little shocked to see her name not included, but then I remember the album just came out. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. I guess I just kind of am hopeful every year that, the Grammys will change, but it'll never change. I mean, I'm not expecting big overhaul, but it would be nice to nominate some of these people that actually perform their own music, no lip syncing, no auto tune. It would be nice to see the Grammys appreciate some real true blue artists, and that, that's just not what it is anymore. I mean, there's nothing I can do about it. It's how it's always been. And then this year, as we're recording this, I think the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame was last night, I believe. And I saw this morning they did honor Ace Frehley, which I thought was kind of cool, because how could you not, really? So I'm kind of interested in seeing how that all plays out with this year's Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But, it's the same old, more AI music on Spotify this week, in the new releases. A lot of that. And, now I guess I see more of it because you and I have been privately messaging each other, sending each other these songs. And, so it's coming up, in our daily feeds. And the music business, man, is just insane. More concerts canceled, more shows being moved. I saw that over the past week. A couple shows. I did see one show was not here in our tri-state area, but I think the Midwest, they had to move a show because it was double booked. And yeah, it's just...
I never understood that double booking thing. Is the venue not aware? Because I've had that same experience locally several times in a row, actually. Like who's booking these shows? Aren't you looking at a master calendar? I mean, if that's your job at the venue, what are you looking at? Now, I know that there's sometimes early shows booked, later shows booked, which sometimes overlap, and there's always a delay. Because what they do is they butt them up so close, and they have this changeover period, and that changeover period is never enough time, given how most artists seem to drag their heels through the process. We've talked about that before, but I get that, because what I've seen is when they do that is the older crowd comes in. They'll come in for maybe a later lunch or a super early dinner, and then they have some cover type of music. Maybe it's more of classic rock or a country type feel, that type of thing. So you'll get some of that. And then, maybe your younger crowd, and by younger I mean maybe 50 under, and then that's your nighttime entertainment. But the double booking at the same time, I don't get that. Unless your facility's that big and you have an upstairs and a downstairs and that kind of thing. But it doesn't even make sense, especially in today's world.
No, it doesn't.
What are you writing it down on the back of a receipt or a napkin and then you lose it? Aren't you putting this into a computer system or some kind of Excel spreadsheet? I don't know.
Yeah, I never understood it either, man. Just something that we have a problem with in our culture today, it's communication.
Right.
It doesn't matter what you do for work. I could tell you that. Communication is a huge problem, which I never understand because there's so many forms of communication. I work in a place where people are in an office separated by walls, cubicles.
Right.
The lack of communication is unbelievable. I'm like... Okay, so you can text each other, you can call each other, you can email each other, but you can't talk to one another? When somebody says, oh, I didn't get told, or sometimes you get busy, things happen, that I totally understand that. But the communication is so bad. So when Joe E., local promoter, books a show at this club, obviously the club doesn't tell whoever else is booking the club, and then they end up just booking shows, and I just never understood it. Just never understood it.
I mean, it's bad business. If it happens once every 5 years, once every decade, I get it. Because sometimes it's just oversight. You don't know who's, whatever. But
yeah.
There was a couple shows that I was part of, and it literally happened 3 times. So it either plays into there was something fishy going on from the very beginning and somebody was being lied to.
Yeah.
Or you're really incompetent.
Yeah.
And for this particular situation, I started to have the sentiment that I think there was something fishy going on. I wasn't the person booking the show. I wasn't involved in that. I was just part of the package. The headliner was taken care of. There was promotion done for... And we're talking not finding out until a week or 2 before the show, after you've done weeks and weeks of promotion.
Yeah.
Just seems a little crazy in my opinion. But this is the world we live in, and it's probably always somebody else's fault. So there you have it. It seems to be the way, right? Just in case.
It's always so.
It's always somebody else's fault. You know what I mean? But like Jimmy Buffett said, it's my own damn fault, and I take that philosophy to heart. That particular T-shirt I do have. Because he's right. When I look back over my life, I go, yeah, it was my fault. I deserved it.
Listen, you're talking about a guy who, lived on the beach 24/7. I'm going to listen to that guy.
Yeah. Yeah. He had caused probably a lot of his own problems, so.
Yeah, well, yeah, of course.
But at the same time, he did well, too. So whatever, you know what I mean? The world is a different place without Jimmy Buffett.
It is. It is. It definitely is.
And you talk about a guy who had a following.
Oh, dude.
Like, and yet another artist who proved you didn't have to have one number one hit after another to constitute a super successful career.
Yeah.
Jimmy Buffett fans are like Grateful Dead fans. They're like a movement.
Yeah.
There is only a small number of artists or bands that have ever had that type of experience.
Yeah.
Again, Grateful Dead, Jimmy Buffett, kind of Bruce Springsteen to some degree.
Yeah,
but
definitely.
Not in the same capacity, in my opinion. Again, you're talking about a guy who just never stopped playing, never stopped really releasing.
No, never.
But as a regular listener, like a casual listener, you would go, is he still alive? And then years would go by, and then he pops up somewhere. And mega fans. This is a guy who bought an island, right? Didn't he have a chain of restaurants?
Oh, yeah, still does, yeah. Well, I mean, I guess his estate.
Well, state has it, but I'm just saying you did something right. Okay, you did something.
And his own alcohol.
That's right. That's right. Right.
Yeah,
so he proved that you didn't need one number one hit after another. You just do something smart with it. Maybe we should learn from that, all of us.
Maybe we should have had him on the show.
Maybe we should. Yeah, it's too late now, but.
It's so funny because he's not like, listen to his stuff and, it was always good stuff, always always some of it was happy stuff, but it was always centered around obviously living the easy beach life.
Yeah.
It wasn't like overly complicated music. Like, he wasn't writing like Metallica stuff. Like he was just writing
and I think
music
that's I think that's what people listen. Not to beat the horse, but if you looked at his fans, they're all dancing. Every single one of them has a drink in their hand, and the music just moved them.
Yep.
I'm not even sure they knew what he was talking about half the time. Sandals and stepping on pots and
it took me forever to realize what that was.
You know what I'm saying? Seashells and this, that, and sand in the bucket. I don't know. Whatever. It worked, man. It worked.
Yeah. And those concerts became all-day events. It wasn't just tailgating.
No.
It was a huge, huge party before the party.
Yeah. That's crazy. That's what I'm saying. There has only been a small number of artists or bands that have ever been able to achieve that kind of, I don't know, status?
Yeah, I would say status.
Yeah, I mean, that's like a community. That's like I said, like a movement. It doesn't happen for everybody, man.
And he reached everybody. I mean, he couldn't collaborate with any heavy metal artists. I mean, I guess he could have, but I mean, like he kind of...
Listen, if Pat Boone can do something, I'm sure Jimmy Buffett could have.
That's true. He kind of like spread himself through everywhere. Like everybody was listening to him. It was cool to listen to Jimmy Buffett. And you know what I mean? Whether it was country or whether it was rock or whether it was, rock pop or like everybody, Bret Michaels did stuff with him. Like, he just encompassed all kinds of different music. And again, it was just some guy barefoot with an acoustic guitar, like just writing about what he knew. The beach.
Exactly. And this is not to single out one group of people over another. Now, if you went to college and you got to the age that you were able to start drinking and you were in those establishments around the college town and stuff, Jimmy Buffett was all over the music playlist.
All over.
There was a number of artists that if you weren't in that scene, you would never listen to. But because you were now of drinking age, college forum, that music, along with other music that you would probably never listen to, was very popular, and you got used to it. So if you began a social life, an entertainment evening social life, as you continued through, say, your early 20s, that was normal. And that's when most people, especially from our generation and maybe the generation after, got familiar with Jimmy Buffett on the peripheral. Like, you didn't even realize, and then all of a sudden you're liking this tune, and, you got your one buddy who his whole goal is to live on the beach, and Jimmy Buffett's his hero, and then you're into this, and it's crazy when you think about that. And all of a sudden, like you said, there was something from Jimmy Buffett that everybody seemed to like. I know Margaritaville was a huge song, but there was, like, other people like this or that, but there was something. Do you know what I'm saying? That's kind of crazy.
No, bro. Absolutely. It was one of those things where everybody could connect on. He just had that little something that everybody connected on. Kind of like Taylor Swift in this day and age. Like, when you go to a Taylor Swift show, like, everybody's connected. Everybody's relating to somebody else on some level. Like, there's a community of it. And Jimmy Buffett was one of those guys. And for lack of sounding cheesy, he just brought people together.
Yeah, there was an age diversity that transcended a lot. Listen, you go to a lot of our type shows. At this stage of the game, it's predominantly older individuals.
Yes.
There is younger people. I'm not saying that there isn't. I went to see REO Speedwagon and Rick Springfield a year and a half ago before they broke up and did what I don't even know what the hell they're doing. But like I told you before, it was an old person show. Everybody sat down. There were younger people there, but the dominant age group was my age and older, which was amazing. But you look at footage from a Jimmy Buffett show, and it's so diverse.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. Like, you wouldn't know. Like, if you were just looking at the crowd and didn't hear any sound there, you'd be like, what artist is this? Because you're seeing young people and people in their 30s and 40s. You could say he wasn't writing anything profound. But to me, in that Margaritaville song, the statement, it was my own damn fault. He spent the whole song trying to figure out what happened here. And then at the end, he realizes it's, to me, that's super profound.
Yeah.
But in a simplistic way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how he was writing his music, not that it was sanitary, but it was socially acceptable on a huge level.
Yeah.
Huge level. It had nothing to do with blue-collar stuff, like, say, what Bruce Springsteen did for years. He was a champion to the blue-collar guy. Not no mo. But anyway... And that's the thing with Jimmy Buffett. Listen, I do remember when Jimmy Buffett was involved in some political things, like, he was supporting certain candidates and stuff like that. But I think everybody does that at a certain point in those type of careers when you have that push. But it was never over the top, and I don't recall him kind of like pointing fingers and calling certain people out or whatever. But anyway, my point is that, like you said, it created this community that people kind of were brought on a level of, this is all equal here, and we can enjoy this for what it is and make the most of it. And I think that's, to me, what he did in his career that way is just phenomenal. Again, without having, radio hit after another. He proved that you didn't need that. You just had to touch the heart of the fan in such a way. Listen, Iron Maiden did it too without any real radio hits. I mean,
that's true.
That's a band that today goes out on tour, which I think they just announced a new tour, and they're playing worldwide to mega audiences. How many bands can do that with no radio hits?
With no, yeah.
I don't know if bands can do that today per se, because I think there's just so much out there. But again, just amazing stuff when you think about it. When you think about those models, take the music, like, they're, they got to play this or they play that. Think about just how and we talked about this, I think, in the first season, the connection you make with your audience.
Yeah. Yep.
You're talking artists that made a connection on that level. But look at it, like, we're talking about him now. He passed what? Almost 2 years ago? Last year?
I think so.
End of 2023
I think about 2 years.
Yeah,
it's been about 2 years, I think.
Anyway, that's our psychological aspect of music segment.
It kind of ties into today's show.
Let's get into the topic. Older and still rocking. Being the old guy at the show. Older and still rocking. What do you think, buddy? Are you older and still rocking?
I am older and still rocking, Mick. I am. And I will wave that flag like nobody's business. And listen, I can still headbang. I may suffer for the next 2 days, but I can headbang still, like I did when I was 22. It's funny because I've kind of realized this in the past within the past year. And maybe because now I'm in this hiatus with my bands, I'm able to see, because I'm on the outside and I didn't realize it when I was heavily in it. I'm seeing more younger bands. Like, even the music scene and the music has changed. I guess right before COVID, right before 2020, there was a lot of death metal bands going on. And just hang with me here and I'll get to my point. There was a huge death metal scene. I was in that scene. I was constantly playing with those kind of bands. And as time's gone on since 2020, and now that we're in 2025, going into 2026, I'm in this hiatus. That version, that scene, that death metal scene has kind of disappeared, really. All those bands I was constantly playing with and hanging with, they're all gone. And there's this new, younger metal that's come in. I don't like to talk genres because metal is metal, but it's just not death metal. It's kind of changed a little bit. It's kind of gotten into a metal core, we'll call it. And it's a lot of younger people, talented, but the scene has changed. And I found myself in this hiatus looking to complete my bands. I go, man, it's not only is it hard because of the original scene, it's hard because of my age, because everybody that's looking for bands are young and they don't have that experience that we're looking for. I hate to sound like this, but it's the truth of it. I don't want to spend my time on teaching and molding a younger person to what we need them to be. I've already been through that, so we're trying to find people that kind of match our thinking. And our thinking is from a older thought process where the younger talents don't think like that. Because again, music is not their priority. Where for guys like you and I, music is a priority for us. Obviously not a priority before job and family and bills and, like life stuff, but it's coming up on a very close second, right? So to find someone of that thought process, it's an older guy's thought. It just is. It's just like stage presence, just like image. It's an older person's thought process. And it's hard because those guys are just not around anymore. It's a lot of younger people. So when I go to shows, I find myself almost being one of the oldest guys in the room. And I'm not one that worries about age. I don't really think about my age until it's those moments. But the only time I think about my age is when I'm looking for people to complete my bands. And I go, I can't even get into an established band. Like if someone's looking for a singer, I can't even join them because they're younger guys. They don't want an old guy like me, and even though I have the experience, I have the motivation, I can do it. I'm a plug in and play kind of guy. They don't want a 55-year-old singer. They just don't. And I get it because I don't really want a 26-year-old drummer. So I understand it, but it definitely has been more relevant in my life lately since I've been in this hiatus about how being older has really affected the music scene. Whether it's me personally looking for a band or, finding someone to complete my bands, or the scene in general. The scene is literally riddled with younger people now. And it's unbelievable to me where right before COVID, I was on a level playing field with all kinds, younger, older, same age. Now, I feel like it's all just younger. I mean, the scene is, a lot of those bands I was playing with in 2019 on a constant basis, none of them are playing anymore. The scene is completely changed. And I didn't really realize it until the past, I'll say year or two, when I'm kind of in this position where I'm in limbo. Not for nothing, us older guys we just know what's going on. We're plug in and play kind of guys. And it's definitely been a wake-up call to be an older musician in the scene. And I know it's always been like that, but I feel like maybe I just never realized how relevant it was until I'm in it, right? It's always been like that. It's not like aging stops. We're always aging, but maybe because of the music scene is so in such weird place right now, I just see it more, or it's more relevant. But Yeah, like being an older guy in the music scene is kind of awful at times. You know, when it comes to seeing guys that are older in bands, they're doing it and they're doing it well because we've all been seasoned. We've all done the on the road and we've all lived those experiences. So when we get up on stage, it's pretty much a fine-tuned machine because we've been there. We've done it all. But to be an older guy in the scene in terms of like playing and getting in bands and trying to move forward, it has been harder, you know, where we are in this day and age in 2025 going into 2026.
Well, you know, it is a natural progression that younger people are going to come in. Technically, you kind of need that to keep the scenes alive. So that's understandable. But you're absolutely right. Since COVID, things have changed drastically. We've talked about this numerous times. And we've determined that a lot of bands just pulled the plug after being dormant for a year and a half, some 2 years, during the early point of COVID. Some guys just called it quits. I do remember there was years ago, my band has talked about this several times, we played a festival from those bands that we played with, and there must have been, it was a 2-day festival, there was, you know, I don't know how many bands, 30 bands or something like that. Not one of those bands are around anymore, for whatever reason. But that just shows you that bands come and go. They're like restaurants. If they last 5 years, that's a long time. So It's a tough sell to begin with, but it's kind of the circle of life with this model that you got to have new people coming in. Get that. But we've had a heavy drop-off of older players just saying, nah, that's it, I'm done. You still have some out there, but what I'm seeing in my experience is we're usually kind of like lost in the shuffle. That's not to say everyone, because there are some guys that are kind of still holding their own, but in a way that either they're super friendly with the venue or they have an established connection to a certain booker who is supporting them. By that I mean they're getting gigs, they're getting better shows. So, but that's a small percentage. For the rest of us, I mean, it's a means of survival. It's like there's a silent war going on to get a show, to get noticed. Because here's what you're dealing with. And I'm going to talk primarily from experience because we've been dealing with this the last 2 years. I'm not going to name names or point anybody out, but I was told, and we've talked about this before on the show, that a couple venues that I'm friendly with, they had took me to the side and said, we're going to start phasing out some of the older bands, some of the aging bands. And I immediately fell into that category for 2 reasons. 1, because of my age, and 2, because my band's been around almost 15 years. So regardless if you're tight, on the money, well-rehearsed, professional, there becomes a stagnation in how people, venues as well, are responding to you. It's a natural piece of the puzzle that your draw starts to change. For all bands. Brand new band, your draw is kind of high, people get used to you, I'll catch you next time. It starts to decline over that first year, 2 years, 3 years. There's only a small percentage of bands that continue to have that draw. But I'll be honest with you, I don't see them. We don't have anybody here in this area. You can say that there's people, but show me a band that's 5+ years that still has the same heavy draw. It doesn't happen that way. Plus, following COVID, where the culture has changed. The culture and what people do and how people do it has changed.
You are listening to the Cosmick Voice with your hosts, Chris Natalini and Mick Michaels.
When I am on bills with bands of a younger age, we are usually the older. I just recently played a show that we were the older band. The other bands, they were maybe half of our age. And the crowd was literally divided in the middle of who was out there. People that were coming out to see us were our age and older, and then these other 2 bands, they could have all been my kids in age.
Yeah, yeah.
There often isn't an interaction between the bands because of that divide of age, as well as there isn't that same interaction with the crowd or the audience because of that divide in age. And I had noticed that when we played, the crowd shifted. Half of the young people kind of just disappeared. They went someplace else. We managed to keep some, but the majority of the crowd was the older crowd that came out to see us. You're also getting this thing where they don't want to listen to the older bands, the majority of them. So for the sake of ease on my part for calculation, let's say you have 10 people and they're young people, you're going to have maybe 3 or 4 that are going to stay just to check you out because they want to hear it. The other 7, they're not even interested in giving it a shot because they have this tunnel vision, which is sometimes normal at a younger person's age. Because, I had tunnel vision too. I wanted this and didn't want that, so on and so forth. I have seen that the older crowd, they'll sit there. They may not enjoy it, but they'll sit there through the thing because that's what they do. They've reached that point for whatever. You give everybody their due. I'm not saying everybody. I mean, I've seen people hightail it out of there, or they come just for the band, like, oh, I can't stand this stuff, or whatever. It's a tough market out there, and you realize you're the older band, or you can sometimes see it in the lineup. You feel ostracized a little bit. Yeah. I mean, even the booker treats you a certain way because you're seasoned. That's a nice way of saying old.
That's a polite way of saying it.
So it does become a bit of a challenge. It does become a bit of a challenge. Here's what I've always said to the guys. I says, listen, we're not getting involved in saying this or doing that, or I'm not going to do some crazy over-the-top promotion or whatever. We take the show, and we do what we always do.
That's right.
When we're on stage, we do our thing. And I've always said this, just let the music do the talking. Yeah. Because for us, and it's always been this way, it's about the music first. We don't do anything crazy on stage. We don't blow things up and stuff like that. First of all, we don't have a budget for any of that. 2, we don't have the time to set it up because, you get 5 minutes for changeover. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're getting the music and you're getting the energy from that. And then there's the connection that happens. So I says, that's what we do. We present ourselves as we are. There's no sense of playing into. And I've seen guys do this, older guys that do it. And it looks goofy. And I think we talked about this before. I remember I played a big show. We have our dress. But listen, I'm not wearing spandex anymore.
Right.
I mean, I haven't touched spandex probably since 90. I'm not wearing spandex anymore. But I'm watching guys right around that same age. And they're wearing spandex. Mm-hmm. And, they're not in the best of shape. Listen, you wear what you want. I get it. That's what we're here for. But we talked about this. Part of that model is rather than have people go, oh, my God, what's this clown doing, And sometimes, it doesn't matter how good you are. If it's goofy, if something's off, you've broken a connection. So things have to be age appropriate. Age appropriate. I just seen a video maybe a week ago from this recording from the band Expose. Remember during the 80s, right? Yeah. Well, I guess they're performing again. Sounds great if they're really singing. And these people are now a lot older, and they're not wearing age-appropriate clothing that's even fitting their current figure. That's pretty much what everybody was talking about in the comments. It's like, who's your stylist? You have to age sometimes with your fans.
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a respect level to that, I think. Because you don't want to ostracize them, and you don't want to look like a clown. And sometimes in this business, because everybody's trying to be the next big thing or follow their heroes and all, well, listen, Steven Tyler can still get away with it in a sense, even though he looks like an old lady, because he's been doing it his entire career. Yeah. You see what I'm saying? So it's part of the shtick, part of the theme, whatever. Same with Kiss. They did their thing because that's what people expected. I think that guys that are trying to do this other thing are ostracizing themselves, period. I've seen plenty of older bands create their own friction at the show because they come in with an attitude.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah.
I'm entitled to
there's
this.
definitely
I've been around a long
Yeah.
time. I was
Yeah,
here
yeah,
when
yeah.
so and so was signed, and you know,
There's
they got
definitely
a list of stories that, okay, bud, but guess what, man? You're playing the same club, so you know, whatever. You got to respect the younger bands that are out there doing it. And here's what I see quite often with the audience, with the younger bands. There's an energy that's carried over because of that age and that connection. We don't have that anymore. That doesn't mean it doesn't exist, but we don't have that type of energy connection. One, because the older crowd isn't going to get up and start doing what a 22-year-old is going to do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
For whatever reason. It's just the way it goes. We have seasoned audience members as well, right? Nice way of saying it.
That's right.
So their appreciation and how it's done outwardly is different. So you're not going to get everybody to get up and like a younger crowd. So sometimes that feeds off of itself. Listen, you've been at shows, I've been at shows on both sides that you're sometimes playing to a dead crowd, no matter what you do.
Mm-hmm.
And it has nothing to do with whether you're good or not. You're either in the wrong place at the wrong time, the wrong setup, the band before you ruined you, or nobody cares about any of the bands except the last band.
Yeah.
You'll have people say, well, you got to write better songs and you got to do... Listen, you could have the best of the best and it still doesn't work. That's just the nature of this business. It's like Any Given Sunday type of thing.
Yeah.
Listen, I've even played with major bands, opening up for them, where they lost the crowd and people walked out. Or they had less people than the first two opening acts. And why is that? And again, whose fault? I mean, I told you I was in a scenario where my band was blamed, well, actually specifically me for booking shows, was blamed for the headliner's lack of attendance. And here's the thing. I was put on a week before the show happened because a band pulled out, and I opened the night. So the band, the headlining band, didn't play till 4 hours after I did.
Right.
I was going on during the drive it home time. So it's not, you know what I'm talking about. Is it real? It's absolutely real, man. And the funny thing is I remember 15 years ago with this band starting, I was still an older guy, not as old as I am right now, but I remember seeing that next tier of band, the older band, and what they were experiencing at the time, and what they were doing was they were the ones putting together these big festivals. So they had a forum and they created a buzz.
Yeah.
And I was actually thinking of taking this into a topic for the show, but this is a perfect time to talk about it because as my band is experiencing, it's harder and harder to find shows for a lot of different reasons. Not as many venues, more bands, less opportunity. Like I told you, being phased out because of the age, the type of music, you name it, whatever. So my choices as an older, seasoned veteran is, do I call it quits or do I change things up? Well, we talked about this before. I'm not ready to call it quits. I still think I got maybe a little bit more gas in the tank. I may not get as far as, I did in the past, but listen, I could still probably make it to the beach. You know what I mean? I got enough in the pocket to get me to the beach. You know what I'm talking about. My philosophy now moving forward, once I finish up what I have contracted for this year and I move forward, I'm not changing the destination. I'm just going to change the route of how I do things, where I'm going. There's another way, and I'm going to find it, and I've already started putting some things into play, and there's a level of acceptance with that. And there's a level of, once I make that acceptance, there's a new level, I should say, of excitement for it. It's like, hey, you know what I mean? I'm going to simplify things even more because there's things I don't care about. Like we talked about that following COVID, I realized there was things I was spending time on that we were taught that this is what we were supposed to be doing. Apparently, it doesn't make a difference anymore.
Yeah.
You know, especially when the plug is pulled and the rug is pulled out from under you. None of that seemed to make sense.
It doesn't.
I don't know, buddy. What do you think? Anything else?
You know, man, no, I mean, not really, but, you know, going back to what you were saying about, you know, kind of changing or updating, we're talking about expose, and, you know, it's funny because I always think of Stephen Pearcy when I see him, right? Like, he still looks like the LA 1983 guy, which is fine because, I'm not going to judge him on it. It is what it is. That's his look. It's his thing. But to me, he looks like an older guy trying to be young. And it's very off-putting to me when I see him. Like, on stage, okay, like, I can go with it on stage. But, like, when I see him out and about, I just always go, man, like, you don't have to. It's off-putting to me. It's just off-putting. And I use him as an example because it's just something that I see. When I see him, I go, especially a lot of those 80s hair metal band guys, I just saw a brand new video for Black and Blue the other day, and the song's great, and the singer Jamie St. James is the only guy that looks like he's still in LA from 1984. Not that he looks bad, it's almost like when I look at it, I go, the business musician guy in me goes, hell yeah, like, do your thing. But the 55-year-old guy goes, oh, dude, just, you don't have to look like that. Like, it's okay. You look like an older guy trying to look cool in a time where looking like that just isn't a thing anymore. I don't know if that's right or wrong. I mean, he does what he does, and that's awesome, and that's cool, and I respect him for it. But a part of me, and maybe that is the old guy in me. Maybe the old guy in me goes, I would never do that. But listen, I'm not from LA. I'm not, I wasn't a big thing in the 80s, so maybe it's a different mind process. I don't know.
Well, I don't know. I mean, listen, Metallica has aged with their audience in a good way, right? Their style, their look had changed over the years. Some better, some worse. Mm-hmm. Axl Rose has changed. He seems age appropriate, and people accept that. And I think that there's a level of that acceptance for yourself creates a further acceptance for the audience, which then can be more diverse. That's just me.
No, you're not.
You know what I mean? Then you got George Lynch, who looks like sometimes he's just got some sweatpants and a t-shirt on that he grabbed out of a suitcase, and he's just ripping away. So, I mean, there's no hairspray. There's no, you know what I'm talking about?
You
know exactly what I'm talking about.
It's so true.
So,
just t-shirt and jeans,
yeah,
right?
t-shirt and jeans. Like, there's just nothing there because for him, he's doing what he does, and it's all about guitar playing.
100%, yes. 100%.
Because like you said, it's not the thing anymore. I get it if your band, like if you're even a younger band, that you have this theme, this shtick, this model, and everybody's, because there's still this glam hair metal scene that's happening. Yeah, even younger guys that are back into it, and it kind of, even when you see it today, you're like, man, maybe it's so passe. It just, because then you, being the older guy, you're looking back and you're going, yeah, maybe that was a little goofy at that time. But yeah, being that I don't see many young kids getting into that glam scene, at least not here on the East Coast. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but say in the Philly market, I'm not really seeing it. Yeah. And most of the bands that I'm playing with, when I do play, the younger bands that is, it's usually that much heavier, some new version of metalcore, screaming, gyrating, ear bleeding, wondering what that is thing. I don't know, man. You got anything else you want to add?
No, bro. Nope. I do not. Just another old guy complaining about the younger guys.
My mother always said, getting old ain't for... You can figure out the word from there. If you like that episode, check out some of our other episodes at www.thecosmickvoice.com. Step into the Cosmickverse. You'll never feel old. Thanks so much for listening. This is the Cosmick Voice. If you have a question, a topic idea, or something you want us to address, just contact us through our Facebook page at The Cosmick Voice. You can listen to The Cosmick Voice at Spotify, Breaker, Apple, Google Podcasts, Radio Public, Pocket Cast, and at thecosmicview.com. Check us out on Facebook at The Cosmick Voice.
All right, folks, that's going to do it for us. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, Mick and I would like to thank you from the bottom of our hearts. And we hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Also, feel free to let us know what topics you'd like to see covered in future episodes of The Cosmick Voice. And you can get in touch with us through thecosmickvoice.com and, of course, all of the Cosmick Voice social medias. Take care and be safe.
You're listening to The Cosmick Voice. Music, talk, and nothing but business.